What is attitude? We all seem, almost intrinsically, to understand what attitude means. But do we really? A few memorable quotes regarding the idea of attitude yields such gems as these. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. Henry Ford. And I believe the single most significant decision I can make on a day-to-day basis is my choice of attitude. Charles W. Swindoll. Further, from no less than famed American poet, civil rights activist, and writer of worldwide renown, Maya Angelou. If you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. The most important aspect an astute observer will glean from these representations of attitude is this. Attitude is not some fixed, unyielding, unalterable aspect of our character. Attitude is a choice. Our attitude at any given moment, as well as the attitudes we have grown comfortable with, like a well-worn and eventually dearly regarded garment, are choices we have decided represent who we are. Whether we realize it or not, with each implied or vocalized expression of agreement or disagreement with any aspect of our world, or those with whom we share it, we are deepening the grooves of our attitudes and fueling their momentum going forward. Whether we realize it or not, with each implied or vocalized expression of agreement or disagreement with any aspect of our world, or those with whom we share it, we are deepening the grooves of our attitudes and fueling their momentum going forward. This, of course, is fine if these attitudes serve us beneficially. For in time, our attitudes become our beliefs, having deepened within us through our repeated confirmations thereof. How do we know if our attitudes are serving us beneficially? Those attitudes which uplift our mood, highlight the value of others in our life, and give us a sense of eagerness for and appreciation of the world in which we live, these attitudes serve us beneficially. Any attitude which tends to nourish our experience of life and the lives of those around us serves us beneficially. Typical ideas describing such attitudes include appreciation, fun, considerate, kindness, noble, integrity, joyful, happy, trustworthy, thoughtful, and so on. Ideas frequently describing attitudes which tend to diminish our experience and that of others are critical, judgmental, rash, disparaging, reproachful, impatient, inconsiderate, gloomy, and so on. This brings us back around to the most important aspect of our attitudes. Our attitudes are a choice. We are able to choose the direction and inclination of our attitudes, and thereby the beneficial or determined momentum their repetition confers on experiences going forward. Understand, however, that the fact we are able to choose our attitudes does not imply we generally do. For many, if not most, in spite of our imagining ourselves making such important decisions, as our attitudes are literally the lenses through which we both view and filter the world around us, we most frequently do not. Instead of this being a decision we consciously, deliberately make, it is more often the result of the continued momentum of repeating our chosen attitudes, without really giving much thought, if any, to the fact that this is what we are doing. Thus, we are simply living by default, continuing to parrot these attitudes and beliefs bestowed on us initially by our parents and friends, and later colleagues and others in the world at large. In physics, this is what is known as the law of inertia. It essentially applies to objects of a physical nature, describing them as tending to either remain at rest if presently in that state, or continuing in the direction of motion most previously observed indefinitely, unless acted upon by some external force. To the astute observer, this law of inertia also applies to our attitudes and beliefs. Further, to that astute observer intent on living more consciously, more deliberately, and more in keeping with this desirability of becoming a so-called self-actualized human being, an implicit understanding arises that the most powerful force which may act upon one's attitude is none other than one's own self. It is imperative to gain a clear understanding that not only are you capable of determining the content of your attitudes and eventually beliefs, but it is a responsibility best and most profitably undertaken by you and you alone. You are at the helm of your attitudes and beliefs. You alone have the final word with respect to molding the day in and day out, of developing new ones and updating or altering those long held in ways that are more representative of not only who you are, but who you intend to become. Now dawns the light. It is the light of awareness. As you continue along in this magical, often bizarre, enchanting, sometimes confusing yet enthralling experience of life here, hold most foremost in mind that while you may often be confronted with circumstances beyond your control, your response to such circumstances, and inevitably the attitudes and beliefs formed and nurtured therefrom, are entirely of your own making. That response tends to characterize the nature of one's continuing experience regarding said circumstances going forward. It has become an object in motion. Therefore, in a very real way, in every moment of each day, through repeating attitudes long held and attention to those just burgeoning, you are creating your own reality. For our attitudes and beliefs literally become the fabric of our reality. The only significant questions remaining are, will you create your reality by default, by simply observing and regurgitating the attitudes of others? Or will you be among those who have become aware that attitudes and beliefs are choices, and choose to create their experience deliberately?